What's up, everybody? We're back with another Liam Raw, and this time we have an incredibly important story for you all to hear, so I'm not going to take up much screen time. Let's get into the story of Luis and Christy Garcia.
All your life you've been waiting for the weather to be just right, to live a little better.
30 years at Lennar.
How long has it been?
Over 30 years. You stop counting after, it's been over 30 years. I went to FIU. I would pass through Lennar corporate office every day. One day I was getting to the point where I was going to graduate. I said, well, I got to start looking for a job. For curiosity, I said, you know what? Let me just go in just before I go to school and see if there's an opportunity for me here. I went in and met with Ken Glick, who was a sales director, and they hired me right there on the spot. And I've been there ever since.
Christy, when did you come into the picture?
It's been about
Yes.
17 years. I lived in a Lennar community, and so did he. He was actually my next door neighbor. The
Headboard to headboard.
Yeah, there was a wall in between us. We were literally next door.
It's a
neighbors.
condo. It's a condominium. She was my neighbor.
Story. This gets better and better. Okay, so
That's the private stuff.
That's another video. We're friends for a long time, and we would hang out. Feelings started
One thing led to
developing,
another.
and he took me out on our first date, official date, and we've been together since.
So you're probably wondering what we're doing here. Well, I promise the relationship isn't only important because they met at a Lennar community. And we're going to get there. But first, we need to hear about what happened to Luis at the beginning of August.
I got originally sick and I went to the hospital for COVID.
So it started August 8th, the remdesivir treatment for 5 days, and he was fine, or so we thought. And he came home for about 3-4 days. One night after dinner, which was on August 15th, he had a lot of heartburn. He got very nauseated and started throwing up. And it was just nonstop for about an hour and a half. So we thought, okay, let's go to urgent care, get some medication, because we thought the food just didn't sit well with him. In the urgent care, they ended up doing an EKG. That's when it revealed that he was having something going on with his heart. So long story short, in urgent care, they did end up calling 911 because it showed symptoms of him having a heart attack. I was not allowed to go with him because of COVID and everything going on. They sent me home and he went straight to the ER. He texted me like at 2 a.m. telling me he was going to get some rest. So he was still with it at 2 a.m. And then at about 4 a.m, I got a call from the hospital asking me if he was allergic to any medications. And that's when I found that it was kind of odd that they were calling me. Why weren't they asking him? So at that point, I knew something was going on. Ironically enough, they tested him and he came out negative with COVID. Even with the testing done, you can never rely on that 100%. Since he tested negative at the time, they let me into the ED. And once I got there, they had him in like a trauma room, and they must have had about easily 10 people working on him. After, maybe 30 minutes or so, everybody runs in there and they said he needs to get to ICU immediately. The ICU he went, and within 5 minutes, they came out and told me he needed to be intubated. His heart stopped pumping, which caused his kidney, his liver, his lungs, everything to just shut down. And he ended up with COVID pneumonia, bacterial pneumonia, RSV, multi-organ failure. The list goes on and on and on. They would let me go in only because they literally told me he was their sickest patient in the ICU. They told me every single day to prepare for the worst, and that they didn't think he was going to make it.
They call me a miracle.
They did. They nicknamed him over at the hospital Miracle. We had a couple nurses that would come and hold his hand and just cry at his bedside, because they say, unfortunately, they don't get to see this happen very often. Most patients don't make it.
Okay, so now that we're caught up, I'm sure you still have more questions. How is Luis such a miracle? What kept him alive? Well, there are a couple reasons.
I took the first dose. I was waiting to take, in between you have to wait to take
21 days.
the 21 days. And I was ready to take the second, and it got, I got hit right in between the shots. I was fine. It's just, I was doing my normal routine, and one day I wake up, I'm in the hospital, and I just don't know what happened.
In the beginning, we were worried, and we were, like everybody else, and, nobody knows, it's something new. So we were hesitant, but we went ahead and did it. And to this day, Luis tells everybody, are you vaccinated? Get vaccinated. Please get vaccinated. Look at what happened to me. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated.
I wouldn't, I don't wish this on anybody. This is, like I said, it's been a nightmare. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their body, but I could tell you this. It's not only what you went through, but it's what you put your family through. It's just not worth it, especially if there's a solution. It is stupid not to take advantage of it.
But the physicians would always come and tell me that's probably what saved him.
Okay, so one shot of the vaccine definitely helped, but it did say a couple reasons. P.S. This is when their relationship becomes really important.
I wouldn't be here without her. They were telling her that, I was not going to make it. She said no. She refused to believe it.
No, for the first 12 days, I wasn't able to touch him or see him or anything because of COVID. Fortunately enough, they allowed me to go in, but I would have to be behind the glass. And one of the things that I would ask the nurses to do is, even though I was behind this glass and he was sedated and intubated and had all kinds of things going on, I still wanted him to hear me. Whether people believe they can hear you or not, I truly believe that they can hear you when they're sedated, but I would make the nurses put the cell phone next to his ear, and I'd be on the other side of the glass with my cell phone, and I would scream into that cell phone and talk to him and tell him, that he's alive, that keep fighting, how many people love him and are fighting for him. And even Lennar, the whole Lennar family, my phone has been blowing up with everybody, which we're very appreciative of, by the way. Prayers work. And I would go in there and just, scream at him and you got this, keep fighting, keep doing this, and some people might have looked at me like, what is she doing? But I didn't care. The nurses came up to me and said, he can hear you. And I said, yes, I know. And she says, no, but we know he can hear. I said, well, how do you guys know? Because his heart rate would go up when he would hear my voice. And when I would hang up, it would drop back down. So at one point, it was kind of a joke. I thought I was stressing him out. And I said, oh my God, I'm going to hang up the phone. I'm stressing him. Let me hang up. They said, no, this is a good thing. His heart rate is up. He can hear you. He's good. It's a good thing.
When I woke up, I couldn't move anything. I couldn't even talk because of the trait.
What are your first words? Where do you remember?
What were the first
Do you
words?
remember? He literally looked at me and said, thank you. And he says, if it wasn't for you,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here. I love you. I mean, the speech therapist was crying. I was crying. We're all crying. We're just a mess, but it was.
I'm
Absolutely.
crying. You're not crying. I'm crying. Give me one word as to how you feel right now.
Right now, I feel blessed.
Hey, you took my word.
Okay, I'm okay. We're good. So, last question. Where are they now?
We were trying to get Luis into a rehab. That was the next step. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as people think. And okay, you're being discharged from the hospital, you go into any rehab you want and you're good to go. And it doesn't work that way. It's a process. And Luis kept getting denied because he was at a state that he was still so weak that the rehabs didn't want to accept him. So it just so happens that Dr. Pascal reached out to me and following up, and I said, well, the next step is rehab, but unfortunately, I'm kind of stuck. And he says, Christy, have you heard of Lynn Rehab Center? Brand new, state of the art. It's run by Jackson.
Yes.
And I said, as a matter of fact, Dr. Pascal, that's the one that I've been trying to get him into. And I just want the best for him. And
He said, so do I.
and he said he wanted the same thing. And we were both on the same page. And he says, well, guess what? Luis is not going to be going anywhere else but the best. We're both on the same page and we are going to get him in. So thankfully, we are here.
And that's it, folks. For Luis and Christy, at least. Those two are absolute fighters. And I had to give a call to Dr. Pascal to hear a little bit more about what made Luis Garcia's story so special.
With all the things that medicine can offer, 50% of his recovery is due to Christy. Her love made a huge difference. Christy saved his life. The power of love, in saving the life of humans is incredible. It's much more than what we give it credit for. After an emotional shock, your heart can actually fail as a result of the emotional shock. That's where broken heart came from. It's wonderful that our friend Luis had a shot of vaccine, and that's the reason why we so persistent at Lennar to make sure that all of our associates at least get one shot. Again, in situations where you are dealing with this virus, it may be the only thing that saves your life.
All right, now that's a real wrap. And I know it's not the normal discussion we have about Microsoft Teams, Zoom, the mute button, eating healthier, getting the vaccine. Whoa, well, wait, this is about getting the vaccine. Anyway, I'll see you on the next Limra! What is the first thing you want to do when you're out of rehab?
Just get together with my family, celebrate with them, then I'm back home.
I look